What's going on, everybody? We're going to do a little bit of a different video today. We're going to talk a little bit about training aids. I get a lot of questions about this, so let's go ahead and let's do it. All right, so we're talking these training aids today. I get this question all the time, like I said, and so what we're looking at is what can we do on the cheap that really makes a difference. Well, the thing about training aids, I love them, but yes, training aids can be expensive, especially for what they're doing. It's, there's a lot of costs that go into them, manufacturing them, then marketing them, then shipping them. All those costs then get passed on to you, and, that's great. A lot of training aids sometimes can be easy to use and things like that, and they also look a little better and all that, but it sometimes is, the thing I have about training aids is a lot of training aids don't work for everybody, right? There's a lot of training aids that don't work for everybody, so people will buy them and they look and say, all right, I'm going to use this, but it's not something they need. And so you're spending a lot of money on something that only fixes one specific thing, and it's not going to help you with a bunch of different problems. And to me, some of the cheapest training aids can help a variety of problems. So that's what I like to look at. So the first one, I'm holding it right here, and you can see my bag. I've got a few of these in here. This is my bag, by the way. I kind of keep this stuff over here that I use, and not much. I have an entire closet back there, which you don't see, of just training aids, and they're in there and they don't get used. It's because I've bought them, I've tried them, and you know what? They just don't make the cut as something I would use all the time. I'll go get it once in a while if I need it, but again, I pretty much get by with all of this stuff. So the first one, again, like I said, is a driveway marker. You can get this from Lowe's or Home Depot. I get them from Lowe's because they have this little metal cap on them. They're like $2.50 for each, and you need like one or two at most at one time with somebody. So I get those. Now, to be fair, I get a bunch. I have about 40 or 50 of them because I have different needs for them when I'm doing camps and stuff like that. But with this training aid, I can do so much for under $5. One, I could work on alignment. I could work on how am I going to swing. I can draw pictures for students. I can say, hey, you're going to swing this way. You're going to have the face this way. You're going to swing this way. That's why I have two colors. I'll sometimes say, all right, club face is the orange one. Club path is the yellow one. And we start working on the game that way. I also will pair it up a lot of times with the pool noodle. You can get this from the $5, like Five Below. It's like $1 there. So you get this, and I can start to pair these things together where I can actually stick this thing in the ground. And if I put the noodle on it, I use that for just a little bit of padding, so it's not, going to hurt you or anything like that, right? So if we stick this in the ground, I've got it like this. If you hit this, it doesn't hurt, and I don't want that to ever happen. So we pair it like that. I can also take the noodle, and then I can actually start poking this through the noodle, and I can start to make shapes, right? So if you need some sort of shape, right, I could do some crazy things with it. But if you needed shapes in how you're swinging, let's say I stuck this in and I wanted a lower, hey, we want to come in shallow and underneath this thing. I think if you remember, there was a training called the Inside Approach a long time ago, which wasn't absolutely the greatest, but it was basically a glorified pool noodle on a stick. And it cost, I think, like $100. So, again, I can do these things with this. The other part is, I like that I can turn it into something that works on my putting. I do a great drill for myself where I get this thing on my chest, have this resting on the putter. Now I'm starting to work on my putting stroke. And if you're somebody, let's say you're working on, hey, you need to rotate more in your golf swing, what I'll do is, or you need to work on just body rotation in general, there's a lot of ways you could do this. I'll take a bungee cord, okay, and I will wrap it around, okay. Now I've got something that can help me as I go back, working on rotating a little bit. So there we go. Now I can do some of those things. You could also just stick this through your belt loops as well. those are things that I'll do with this. Now, again, what does this kind of work with? Well, you say like, hey, I could get a nicer aid. You know, obviously I have some of them. Those can work a little better sometimes, a little bit easier to use. But if you're like, hey, do I really need to get this aid? You can try it out before you ever do get it and do something similar with this. I found this to be the best one, and it's just amazing to use, okay? Now, with that said, what do I personally use for my swing? Now, I don't do rotation. I don't work on that. That's not what I need to work on. I need to work on better working the golf club, applying the proper forces to the club. So, where do I go? I got a training aid that I use, which costs $15 for 2 of them on Amazon, and that is just a toy plane, okay? Now, this is just a plane. It comes with these styrofoam pieces. You can throw it and stuff. I have it bungee corded to, or zip tied, I should say, to my golf club. And this is a club. This is just an extra club I've got that I never hit, so I can leave it on all the time. And this is an idea that actually is not mine. This comes from Michael Jacobs, Jacobs 3D. If you don't know them, go check them out. I think they're really changing and revolutionizing the game with what they can do. And I think more people need to pay attention to them because I think they're doing some great stuff. So what do we see with this plane? What I do with the plane is I work on making some practice swings. So if you're looking for something at home, okay, at home where you're like, hey, am I swinging it correctly? All this plane does is help me have a better feel for how am I moving the club. It just makes it easier, and it helps my head think about things in a little bit of a different way. So if I bring the club back, okay, and I go up, and I come down, okay, my goal is I want to be coming in more for a draw. So when I get my club going back, what I think about is I get the club here, plane wings level. Go up, I want the plane wings to feel like they go straight up, and I want to feel like I belly flop the plane. Belly flop the plane, and then come on in. It's giving me a different way to think about it, so when I go to actually swinging my golf club, I'm actually thinking about the same things. I go back, wings up, belly flop, and hit, okay? I'm starting to think about those same things, and I can work on it. And it's a great way for me to feel productive at home without having to actually hit a ball. I did that plane drill for about a month without hitting a golf ball because I just felt like I was being productive and I didn't need to hit a golf ball if I didn't have the time or I didn't want to. So training aids can come in all different forms. They do not have to be expensive. They also can be things that work on a multitude of things. If you are going to buy one, I would recommend buying things that work on multiple things. There are a few of those. That's why you've heard me talk so much in the past about like Orange Whip stuff, because I think you can do a variety of things. This is a short game wedge that we use, but I use it on full swing all the time, even though it's not designed for that, because as we're bringing the club back, I like to have my students feel the idea of letting the club bend and then unloading it. That's something that really helps them with a lot of parts of their swing. I like things that help you develop some rhythm and some ideas of that, but you don't have to do those things and spend a ton of money unless you're sure that it's something that you really want. So those are a couple of ideas of training aids that you can use. You know, my goal in this isn't to try and say, hey, don't go out and buy these expensive training aids or nicer ones. Are there advantages to those? Absolutely. You know, hey, they just work better. They're easier to use. You know, you could pick them up. When I'm using the plane, yeah, the plane twists, and I always have to kind of adjust it. You know, those things happen, but it's something that if you feel like, oh man, I gotta break the bank, or it's kind of tight for me to buy a training aid, you don't have to feel like that's the thing that's holding you back. And in some cases, it's the better solution. To me, the thing that I want in a training aid is, one, does it solve the issue that you're trying to fix? Two, how easy is it to use? If it is a pain to get on and get using, you probably aren't going to use it. So how easy is it to do that? And three, can it solve multiple issues? Because if you have like one training aid that solves one thing and then this other thing that solves another thing, and you got to use all of them, in conjunction, again, I don't think that's very easy. That's not going to be something to use. That's why I like cameras. That's why I like, hey, I want to use a live view, because you're going to go through and do this. Those things really help, but these are some other options. Again, that is on the higher end. This is on the low end. What can you do to help with your game? So if you have any questions about it, please let me know. I've had questions, why do I have a plane on my golf club? So that's why. There you go. And as always, if you like the video, consider clicking that subscribe button, and we'll catch you in the next one. Peace.